Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Football Manager 2019 with Zebu Nation. We're back again, FC Cincinnati, and this will be the final episode of the 2018 half season, partial season, whatever you want to call it. The season before we actually enter MLS. Of course, you probably saw that we played in the U.S. Cup. Got knocked out by Atlanta United in the 5th round. Yep, in the 5th round. So we didn't quite make it to, the big stage when it came to the U.S. Cup, but we got pretty close. We beat an MLS club, beat New York Red Bull. So that was basically the highlight of our season. And now I've been switching gears, and I've been preparing the club for next season. And there's a few things we got to do to prepare. So first thing I've been trying to do is just trying to sell off anybody I can sell off, just about anybody I can sell off. There aren't going to be many guys from this club who are going to make it to the MLS roster. There's 3 or 4 veterans and 3 or 4 rookies, or I guess they're rookies, but they're basically academy players that are going to make it to next year's roster. Everybody else is going to get sold or cut for the most part, unless we just absolutely can't find a replacement for them and we'll keep them around. But for the most part, our roster is going to have a massive overhaul going into next season. So there have been a few advances on that front in terms of transfers. We can take a look at the transfer history here. We made a trade. Got a 2nd-round pick from Colorado for Kenny Walker, who was a midfielder we never used. That happened in June. Then, go back to the transfer history. All transfers. We got Paddy Barrett, defender, went to Watford for $30,000. And Sam DeWitt finally went to Sparta. That's a trade we had in the works for a long time, but it finally went through in July. So not a lot of stuff, not a lot of movement really on that front, unfortunately. So a lot of these guys are just going to get cut or waived or however we get rid of them. But that means we're going to have to focus on replacing them. And in order to replace them, we have to focus on scouting. And I'm going to have a little rant on scouting here in a minute. But before we get to that, I forgot there's a couple of other things. I've once again gone back to the board and gone for a new contract. This is the other thing you have to remember to do, or hopefully the board will do it for you. But if not, you have to go to the board and say, I need a new contract, because the contract you get only runs until 2018. So the board has finally agreed to offer a new deal very shortly. That's good. And then the other thing I got them to do was upgrade the data analyst facilities yet again. So we bought some new computers for like $10,000, and now we're going to $30,000. We're probably going to do a little remodeling, maybe give ourselves a little closet where we can hold our data analyst computers. They can have their own little chalkboard or something, a whiteboard, where they can put down some ideas. I don't know what you can get for $30,000, but it's not like a whole new facility or anything like that. So we'll see what sort of upgrades we get from that. So those are the things you got to continue to do. I tried to get a couple of more scouts in, but the board said no to expanding our scouting staff, so we're going to have to deal with that. And that brings us to scouting. Now, I've been having problems with scouting in Football Manager for a while. And if you don't play in MLS, it's probably not something you would really notice or really care about. And that comes to scouting everybody on a team. We need to scout everybody on Major League Soccer teams because everybody's going to become available at some point. Be it through a waiver draft or just being waived or some other way, a trade. So all professional sports teams in the U.S., they keep track of every player on the other teams. Their scouts, their front office, they have opinions on everybody. their contract. Are they worth it to pick up? Are they, do they have a good personality? Like, they keep reams and reams of data on everybody, on every team. And if they don't do that, then they are sorely behind the times, and most likely they're going to get fired from their job. So the problem I have is I look at a team like this, Houston. We played Houston twice this season. And look, I know nothing about their team. I know their best players, of course. Who wouldn't know their best players? But that's it. That's all I know. This is unacceptable that I've played this team twice this season, and I wouldn't have any sort of knowledge of their players. No scouting reports for these guys. Now, maybe I can look at them and click on them, and I might have a little bit more knowledge, but still, look at this guy. I know next to nothing about this guy. That's unacceptable for Major League Soccer. That's not how front offices are run. And I know Sports Illustrated, Sports Interactive, they pride themselves on like going to coaches and people in soccer and figuring out how things are really done. They need to put an eye towards Major League Soccer and figure out how MLS front offices are really run. They should look at last season, this 2018 season. MLS, on their YouTube channel, they had a special on the draft, a live broadcast of the MLS draft where they talked with Bob Bradley, the coach of LAFC. And he talked about how they had a detailed scouting report on every single player in the MLS draft, the super draft we're talking about. So that's 250 college kids. He had a detailed scouting report on every single guy. And that's how it should be. If you don't have that, if your scouting department can't provide you that, you should fire everyone in your scouting department. So Sports Interactive needs to get on this. Scouting in MLS needs to be improved. And it's not like I'm not trying. Here are my assignments. I have my chief scout. He's scouting Major League Soccer for 3 months. He's still got 3 months to go scouting it. I got another guy scouting the Eastern Conference and another guy scouting the Western Conference. We're all scouting these guys. And yet I can't get opinions on every player on the teams. Maybe it's something I'm doing wrong. I don't know. But it needs to be changed. I need to be able to get information on all of these guys. And the reason for that is because we've got some waiver drafts coming up. And the thing that happens every year in Football Manager is a waiver draft comes along, and there's a little button you can click that says, these 50 players are available for the waiver draft. Would you like to scout them? You click yes, I'd like to scout them. And 2 days later, the waiver draft happens, and you have no scouting report on anybody. And it's impossible. So that needs to be fixed from Sports Interactive. This is a rant for sure. So I'm going to try to fix it this year myself by doing it manually. So I have these 3 guys scouting the conferences, but I don't think that's going to be enough. I don't think it's going to work. So what I'm going to have to do, let's just start with Houston. I'm going to have to go through every team and get a team report. Just click down the list. It's LA Galaxy, team report. I'm going to have to do this manually for everybody just so I can get an idea of everybody. And this should be available. There should be some mass way to do this. I thought by scouting the conferences that would somehow do this, but it hasn't. These guys still have 3 months left to go, and I have almost no knowledge of any of these teams. Look at this, New York City FC, New York Red Bulls. Okay, we played these guys in the U.S. Cup, so we have a little bit more knowledge of these guys, I guess, but still, we don't have their full starting 11 even on here, so it's pretty ridiculous. It's pretty ridiculous how we're doing this. So I'm going to do that off camera. I just wanted to show you that hopefully we can get some kind of scouting reports on these guys. But the other thing is we also have a similar problem when it comes to the super draft. And I thought that maybe we could scout the players individually in the super draft. I tried that last year with FM19, and it didn't really work out very well. Like, the scouts just couldn't process enough data to scout every single player, all 250 players, one by one. So the other way I thought of doing it is doing it by team, scouting them by team. But it's a little nebulous as to where a lot of these players come from. So what I found to do, there's actually a pretty good video out there, unintentionally good video for this. YouTuber named Work the Space, Jack. I'm sure you've seen him. He's much more popular on YouTube than I am. But he's put out a pretty excellent video on scouting the U.S. for young talent. Now, his video doesn't really apply to MLS the way that he intends it. Because what he does as someone coming from a foreign league is he comes over, he scouts all the teams, and he poaches young players from the U.S. But if you're a team that's based in the U.S., you can't actually do that, which is pretty hilarious. And I'll show you why. So let's look at all the clubs. So let's look at, here's the American Developmental League. Let's just take a look at a random team here. Golden State Force. We don't know anything about these guys. But as you notice, these guys have amateur links on them. Now, when Jack did his video, the guys didn't have these amateur contract tags because foreign teams don't care. They'll just come in and sign a guy. But for a U.S. team, here's Brett Williams, amateur contract. If I come in and try to sign this guy, Cincinnati can only sign domestic youth players once drafted. So American teams are barred from signing youth prospects away from other teams because we are beholden to the draft system. But yet, his video, even though you can't use it the way he used it, you can use it to scout the draft because that's where these players come from. That's where these players go. These players go into the draft. So my advice, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scout all these developmental teams. I'm going to scout as many of them as I can. And just sort of do the same thing. Get team reports from all these guys. Now, I don't know if I'm going to have the scouts available to do all this. But we shall see. We'll see if they, because they're going to be scouting MLS and they're going to be scouting these guys. We got a few months to do it. We got to scout the MLS teams first because that draft is coming up first. We haven't quite got to the MLS season yet, so let's see if I can find let's go to the reputation here. All right, Major League Soccer. Let's go to the rules. Yeah, so let's look at the drafts. Drafts do we got coming up? So first we got the December waiver draft. We've already passed the March waiver draft. So we got the December waiver draft and the December expansion draft, and then December re-entry draft. So we got 3 drafts coming up in December. So we got September, October, November, and half of December to scout Major League Soccer. And then for whatever reason, they don't list the Super Draft on these draft dates. What's that all about? Sports Interactive, get with the program. So anyway, the Super Draft usually takes place in January, so we'll have another month left after that to hopefully finish scouting the other teams, the developmental league teams where the draft picks come from. So hopefully we can get through all that scouting. Maybe once we turn into a proper MLS team come January 1st, the board will be more amenable to hiring more scouts, and we can work on that. But for now, that's the best I'm going to be able to do for next season, because we got a lot of people to replace. Richie, we need a new goalkeeper for sure. He's just not good enough. He's okay. If we can keep him, well, he's on loan from Vancouver anyway, so we can't keep him. There's just no way to do that. So he's out of here. We're going to need a goalkeeper, and that's okay. There should be some good goalkeepers available, and I'm fine with that. We need fullbacks. We got halfway decent defense, but not necessarily starting quality. Midfielders, we got a couple of good midfielders. Richie Ryan is too old. He's going to be gone. 33 years old. He's out of here. Alash is still there. He'll be okay. Flores is sort of halfway okay, but I don't know. He might be out of here too. I don't know. He's got a year left on his contract. He seems to be more reserve type ability, but he is only 24 years old, so there's a possibility he'll stick around. Ledesma obviously will stick around, but he's 30 years old, so he's not going to be around for much longer. And Adi, so just got a lot of holes to fill, which is most of our team. So we'll see how that works out. This is going to be a short episode. I just wanted to go on that scouting rant, basically. And yeah, that's it. How have we improved the club? Well, facilities, average still. Data facilities are up to poor, which is good. Youth facilities still basic. This is new. Planned move. Due to move to 25,000 seat capacity FC Cincinnati Stadium on 1/1/2021. I don't remember seeing that. I don't remember the board announcing that. But yeah, there it is. We're also improving the training facilities. We're planning on, we'll have the planning for the new training facilities complete by March of next year, and then we'll start on construction. We'll probably start constructing a new training facility is what I think. Hopefully that's the case. Cross your fingers so we can, move off of the campus of Xavier University. Maybe we'll build the training facilities wherever it is that we're building the new stadium, and then improve data facilities. So we're starting to improve. We've added a few new coaches to the staff. Let me go to the coaching staff, coaching team here. Still have Demet as the assistant coach. Still Cummings as the head of youth development. Tony Miola, we saw him get hired. New fitness coach, Nick Downing. 14 fitness coaching. We fired the other guy to make room for Nick Downing. His determination and motivation's not what you want for a fitness coach, I guess, but at least his knowledge of fitness training is much better than our previous coach. Joe Max Moore is still... No, he's a new guy. He's another new guy. We've hired an attacking coach. Yeah, Joe Max Moore. 15 attacking, 13 technical. His determination, really good. 17, discipline's good. His only problem is motivation. But other than that, he's very high quality, at least compared to the rest of our staff. And then Luciano Civilli. He's the guy who's been around. Yeah, he's the guy we had on our staff. He's our defensive coach. 14 defensive, 16 discipline. So I think as it stands right now, our coaching staff is halfway decent. Got a decent goalkeeping coach, decent fitness coach, decent attacking coach, decent defending coach. And then we have myself to sort of fill in the blanks wherever. I've got at least a 10 in just about everything except goalkeeping, and we got 2 goalkeeping coaches, so I shouldn't be needed in that regard. Hopefully the board will give us a few more coaches going forward, but if not, then I think we'll be okay. And I think that's it. Finances, we're still fine as far as I know. Still $4.2 million in the bank. Lost a little bit of money this season. We're still a little bit over the budget, down to 4.7 million being used. Hopefully we can get under that after we cut a bunch of players. Although we are going to bring in a bunch of new players too, who will probably have some higher contracts as well. So I don't know. We'll figure out the money stuff. But we're going to get a nice chunk of change from Major League Soccer, over $3 million from the TV revenue. So we should be doing okay in that department. Academy will get restocked in December on Christmas Day. December 25th is usually when we get our new Academy players. So that'll be fun. A little Christmas present for FC Cincinnati. I'm not real hopeful, unfortunately, because of our youth facilities are so bad. But we'll see. Anything else off the top of my head? I don't think so. I think we've looked at pretty much everything. And yeah, that's going to do it. So we're going to end the video there. Come back with preseason stuff. Well, not even preseason stuff. Off-season. The off-season spectacular is what will come back for the 2019 MLS season. The inaugural MLS season for FC Cincinnati. So until then, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.